Regan frisked herself as she stepped inside. Oh, shit! I forgot my mobile. Sorry, Cleo. Cleo gave her a forgiving look. It's fine. I told you an hour earlier than I needed anyway because I knew you'd be late. Regan was going to protest, but a quick glance at where her watch should be, followed by a squint at the clock on the studio wall, told her Cleo was absolutely right to have done this. Sneaky, but good call. Regan was notorious for being late. She tried not to be, but she had long ago resigned herself to the fact that timekeeping simply wasn't one of her talents. "What have you done to your nose?" asked Cleo, peering at Regan. Regan's hand automatically shot to her face. "Oh, carpet burn. Still need to hurry you up because the car is blocking the road." Cleo raised an eyebrow. "Interesting. Let me just do one last check and we can go." Cleo swept away. She was dressed elegantly in clothes that adored being showed off on her willowy frame. Even the way she walked was sophisticated. She was the fashion opposite to Regan, who often looked like her wardrobe had vomited on her. Regan stopped slouching. "Why did you want picking up from here and not your place?" Cleo was an artist with a swish flat in Hove, but this was her studio in Brighton where she worked. "I stayed at the Downs Hotel last night. There was an exhibition at the racecourse, but I didn't expect you to remember all that, so the studio seemed easiest." Regan pursed her lips, but she wasn't offended. Cleo was right. She wouldn't even have remembered to come to the studio if Jarvis hadn't said. "And anyway, I've let my flat out. Daddy suggested it as I'm away for 2 months. It made financial sense." "Of course," said Regan. Nothing made financial sense to her. Finance meant numbers, and she wasn't good with numbers, which explained the credit card juggling act she had to do at the end of each month. Although, thanks to Jarvis and his austerity measures, this was now more under control. Regan scanned the small studio. It was filled with canvases, some blank, some finished, and a couple somewhere in between. There was a high arched window which filled the space with light. It seemed to fall like a spotlight on Cleo's latest work. Regan peered at the large brown mass in the picture, tilting her head at an uncomfortable angle. "I don't know what you find so fascinating about—" "We've no time for any of that," said Cleo, pulling her Louis Vuitton case as if she too were on wheels, and she shooed Regan backwards out of the studio. Cleo's art baffled Regan. She wasn't an arty sort. The two of them had met when Cleo had taken a part-time job as a waitress to impress her rich father with her work ethic. Regan had been working there with no other ambition than not to get fired before payday. They were an unlikely pairing, but curiosity on both sides had brought them together. That and a mutual love of coffee and tequila shots. After she'd set an alarm and checked the door, Cleo poured herself gracefully into Regan's car. "Got everything?" asked Regan. "Because I'm the one who forgets things," said Cleo, playfully arching a perfect eyebrow. "Here," she said, handing Regan her keys. "Alarm code 1452, the year Leonardo da Vinci was born." "Why do I need to know that?" Regan was instantly uncomfortable with the responsibility. "Because there's an issue with the boiler and the landlord is sending a workman over." Cleo was speaking slowly, as if Regan was remedial. "And you need me to be here tomorrow to let him in. I hadn't forgotten," she lied. She tried to repeat the number silently in her head so she'd remember it. She wished she hadn't forgotten her phone. Putting a reminder on there would have been useful. "I'll send you a text," said Cleo, pulling out her mobile. She gave her friend an indulgent smile. Regan noticed Cleo twang the hair bobble on her wrist. She kept it there to help with stressful situations. "You okay?" "Not looking forward to the flight, or being away for so long." Regan set off. She was now far